On a busy street in Calgary, there's an apartment building most people pass without noticing. From the outside, nothing stands out, but inside, lives are changing in ways no one else can see, all under one roof. On the 5th floor, Carya stands at the window, her baby finally asleep after a long night. Bills remain unopened on the counter. 3 floors below, and 4 decades older, George sits alone at his kitchen table, a phone in front of him, a number written on a scrap of paper that he's been meaning to call. Down the hall, Sarah and Michael are trying to get their son out the door for school. Another overwhelming morning, another moment that feels harder than it should. They are strangers, living side by side, each carrying more than anyone else can see, but each closer than they realize to change. When Carya came to Canada, she came with hope. She and her partner worked long hours trying to build something stable, but over time, the pressure built. Groceries cost more than expected, childcare felt out of reach, and slowly, home stopped feeling safe. Leaving meant starting over alone, with debt, uncertainty, and a child depending on her. When she was referred to Carya almost didn't go, but she walked in, and what she found was different. No judgment, no expectation to have it all figured out. Through Carya's financial wellness program, Carya learned how to manage her debt and build a plan that fit her life. In just 1 year, she paid down $20,000 of debt. One afternoon, she opened the bills on her counter, and for the first time, they didn't feel impossible. Her confidence grew, and slowly, the future began to feel possible again. George's doctor encouraged him to try counseling. When the intake worker asked questions, George kept his answers short. He wasn't ready to say how bad things had become. He was added to a wait list and encouraged to seek additional services. But telling his story, again, to someone new felt like too much. So he waited. George was in his 70s, living alone, trying to survive on $750 a month. After rent, there was almost nothing left. One evening, standing in a grocery store, he had to choose between food or medication. Quietly, he put the food back. When George finally met with a counselor at Carya, he opened up about the money, the isolation, the thoughts he hadn't said out loud. And from there, things began to change. Through the Way In Network and other programs, he accessed emergency medication coverage, financial supports, and help applying for rent subsidies. And for the first time in months, he didn't have to choose. A full grocery bag, a bill paid without panic. Nothing changed overnight, but the direction did. Shoes on, let's go, we're late. And suddenly, the morning unravels. Sarah and Michael's son had recently been diagnosed with ADHD and is dealing with anxiety. Everyday transitions felt overwhelming. Getting ready for school, turning off a screen, moving from one thing to the next. Sarah and Michael were trying to stay patient, trying not to react in the moment. But stress built quickly, and afterward came the quiet guilt. Why can't we handle this better? They came to Carya's Parenting Anxious Kids program hoping for a few tools. What they found was something more. A space where they didn't feel alone, where other parents understood, and slowly something began to shift. Sarah began noticing her own anxiety, how it rose in those moments, and how her son responded to it. And with that awareness came the ability to pause. They started seeing their son differently, not as difficult, but overwhelmed. The hard moments didn't disappear, but they became manageable. And together, their family grew stronger. One morning, the elevator doors open. Carya steps in. She's on her way to class, working toward becoming a social worker. 3 floors down, George gets in. His housing is stable, his income is manageable. He's on his way to a counseling appointment, continuing conversations he once avoided. Just before the doors close, wait! Sarah and Michael rush in with their son. Shoes on, backpack zipped, a small victory, but one that matters. For a moment, they stand together, not the same people they were months ago. Different lives, different stories, all unfolding under one roof. From the outside, the building looks the same, but inside, everything has changed. Because change doesn't always happen all at once. Sometimes it begins quietly, with support that meets you where you are, and sometimes that changes everything.